We sit, we wait, just praying for a sign as we hold on to tradition as if it is the gospel.
Well, welcome to Filthy Hope. If you're new to this podcast, it's a place that exists at the intersection of Jesus, life and culture. We're all about telling stories and hearing stories from real, authentic people who have something very interesting to share about their life and their circumstances and what has brought them to this very point in time. And today I've got the great privilege of Zooming in a dear friend of mine, Steph Visser, who, hi, Steph.
Hi, everyone.
This is Steph, and Steph's Zooming in from Germany, and I'm Zooming in from Australia, and I'm at dinner time, and Steph's having her first coffee for the day. Second. How are you feeling, Steph?
I'm a little bit nervous, but I think I'm going to be okay. So I've never done a podcast, but I think I'm going to be good with your leadership. That's going to be okay.
I think you're the queen of chat. What I know is that you're the queen of chat and you can hold a great conversation and you tell a bloody good story. And your life story, and certainly the turns that have happened in the last couple of years have been quite interesting and compelling. And because I have known you for so many years, I just thought it was a really interesting story to share because I've seen a huge metamorphosis in your life, and you as a woman and life decisions that you've made, and it's actually you've found your way back to church. But spoiler alert, yeah, she ends up back at church. It's quite, and for a Christian podcast, it's really great to have it. But I want you to share the story, Steph. So I'm wondering, could you maybe start with talking about how we met and how we became friends and how that led us into the fitness story, I suppose?
Sure. So I think it was 2005. Must have been 2005. And our kids went to the same school. So that was in Cherrybrook, Australia. And as I lived there since 1999, I came across there and we met at school at a parent-teacher night, I think, for the first time. Mm-hmm. And I just looked across the room to this woman who just had that, I don't know, this light about her, and she was funny and she asked questions and she was laughing and she had that really infectious laughter, and I thought, like, wow, someone with personality, because I found a lot of people, in Australia, for my liking, lack a little bit of personality and depth. It's just this and I just like, oh wow, I love her.
It was a year 6, wasn't it? A year 6 parent-teacher night we were doing, Steph. Year 5?
No, it was earlier. No, it was earlier than that.
Yeah, okay.
It was a lot. It was earlier than that, but we started talking, I think, year 5. Right. I think year 5. So that was about 2009?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah.
So, and then our kids started dating. That's hilarious.
Yes, the kids started dating. So my son started to date Ness's gorgeous daughter, and so it was a fun time. I think it was a really fun time.
Yeah, precious.
But precious. During that time, I had split up with my first husband, and I was about to change my career path because all of a sudden I was a single mum. So I thought, okay, I need something to sustain myself, I suppose. And I've always loved health and fitness. Pardon me. Always loved health and fitness, and thought, well, I'm going to try and make my hobby my job, and I can work around the kids.
Yeah.
And luckily, the split up with my ex was kind of more amicable later than at the beginning, because at the beginning I only wanted to go back to Germany and I had no other thought in my head than going back to Germany. Naturally, he didn't let me leave because, as a dad, he has as much rights to his kids than I do. So I suppose, it was it was a bit selfish at the time, but that's a whole different story how it led to that. So we leave that out because that's another podcast.
Steph, both your kids were born here in Australia.
Yeah, they're both here in Australia.
You're German, and so you've got dual citizen kids, haven't you?
Yes, they are. Yes, yeah. I'm permanent resident. They are dual citizens. Actually, triple citizens because they're Dutch too.
And their dad wasn't German, was he? He's Dutch.
No, Dutch, Australian. Has also 2 citizenships. So I decided to go to, the problem was, how do you find a job? Because I was lucky enough, I didn't have to work when the kids were little. I could be there for the children and bring them up and do all the things that mums do at that point, go to the swimming lessons, go to the park and do this and do that. So it was actually very good, but I was out of my job for a while now. So I started to do a course at TAFE to refresh my memory of Microsoft and all that stuff, which then enabled me to find a job for a private company where I started to do their website. So it was web design and Microsoft Suite and all that stuff. So I did that, and I could work from home, which was great. It was a private company of 2 old guys, basically, and selling meat to restaurants. So, prime class meat. I also got into sales with them as well and went to the restaurants and hotels and actually sold a great deal of stuff and made good money for the company. And when it came to paying, it was like, oh, well, that was never in the contract that you do that. And I went like, well, you owe me about $5,000 now, in commission. We talked about it, and and they were really stupid about it. And I said, okay, you know what? Since I'm doing your website, if I don't get paid, I'm going to shut down every week 1 tab of your website, because I had changed the passwords and everything, So and they said like, oh yeah, you wouldn't dare that. We take you to court. And I put my big girl pants on and went like, okay, I show you. So I did 3 weeks where I shut down a page of their website, and all of a sudden I had $5,000 in my account.
Yeah, so that was handy.
Yeah, it was very handy. So I naturally quit the job and took the money and ran to the Australian Institute of Fitness. So that's where it begins.
That's right, because I remember you knocking on my door, coming over and saying, Ness, how do I start this journey? What do I do? Where do I study? And I really remember encouraging you, saying, oh, Steph, you're a dynamo. Go and do the training and then come back and see me, and I'll
exactly
foray into corporate health. Yes.
And so I did the training. It was all good. It was fun. I enjoyed it. I loved it, and did worked for Fitness First, and did the pathway to fitness plan with them, which was actually, it was pretty good to get into that. Had shifts there, and it was really good. In the meantime, I met someone else, an Australian guy. I have, never met a German, always met an Australian guy. And he was also split up and had lots of trouble with his ex and the children, but that's going too far. Anyway, so we kind of, got together. He was living in the Hunter Valley. I was living in the Hillshire. And so we kind of backed and forth it for a while, started it, like really slow start. And yeah, it was really fun that time. I remember that time very fondly with, Fitness First, and then getting into touch with you. And you were saying, look, get in touch when you're done and I'll got a job for you. And yeah, so that was after I finished with Fitness First, you got me into Resolution Fitness First. Not Resolution, they were called, what were they called? Resolution Fitness.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
So you got me into that joint. I think with your letter of recommendation, I just walked in there and said I need a job. So anyway, you said, I'll help you, no problem, because you used to work there as well.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. So I started work there and did personal training and really had a good time, had earned good money because, then I started to do classes as well. And yeah, I enjoyed it. And then I started to work with you. I don't know really how it eventuated, but then you said to me, come and work with me. I've got space now. You need to come to me.
Yeah. And we did J&J together. It was really powerful.
Yeah.
We had many years of so much fun together, didn't we, Steph?
Yes.
I mean, stories.
Yes.
The
Fridays.
hilarious Friday stories are just, there's a podcast just in that, the stories of people and their health journeys.
Yes. And I really enjoyed in working in the corporate world because it was just such a different kettle of fish to the private personal training journey. So it was really a good balance, and I could work around those shifts. I could work before at a different gym, then come to you and do evening classes, and it was it was good.
It was good. It was a super happy time. We laughed our guts out. That's my memories, and impacted people's lives in a really healthy, positive, fantastic way. And you and I got to know each other really well. And I was on my journey of becoming a minister as well. I went back to at that time and studied my theology degree. And what did you think of that at the time? Did you think I was batshit?
Oh, wacko. And you're like, what the?
Yeah.
What's she doing now, and why church, and how is it? And my connection to church was a little bit unstable, let me put it that way, because my family from my father's side is Catholic.
Right.
And they're not very Catholic. Like, in the meaning of Christianity, there are the typical German Catholics that go to church to be seen and everything's fine, and go to church at Easter and Christmas and all that. But their behavior is just like, very questionable, very questionable. So and I got out of church in 1997. I left the Catholic Church because in Germany you pay tax for church.
Wow.
And your tax. It's part of your, so if you're Roman Catholic, and it's in your birth certificate and where you live. So the system here in Germany is very different, to Australia. You have to register where you live. And so they have all your data, and then you automatically, if you are, if you have a, what's the English word for that? Like
religion.
To a church.
If you're a member of
religion.
Religion, yeah.
So there is like a little box that you have to tick, and then it takes a percentage of your income tax goes to church. So there's a lot of Catholic kindergartens, Catholic retirement villages, and so they support that. It's not just for the church; it's for the church things, for all the for all the old people, for the young kids, Catholic churches, Catholic kindergartens, preschools, and whatnot. So there is a little bit of meaning and sense to it, But I had studied, because I had studied originally to become a teacher, I had studied theology as well. So, but my professor at university was, he was a Harley riding, clad in black leather motorbike guy who came to church, to class or to uni with his leather pants and everything. And he said, look, if you think we're going to preach all day, you can get out. He was very cool. I loved him. I thought he was like, oh my God, that's church too? Jeez, that's interesting.
With people that ride motorbikes, Stefanie Visser.
Exactly. So it all comes full circle at some point.
Doesn't it? Exactly. Oh, it's too funny. So
too funny.
We raised our sorry, go on.
Yeah, so, and his teachings was more about the critics of the church. He was a Protestant as well. So, and I read a lot at that time, and I went like, oh, that church. Sorry, but I think I can say that in your podcast.
Yeah.
I don't want to have anything.
You're free to say and do whatever you need to say and do, Steph. No rules.
Okay. I just thought like, oh, fuck that. I don't want to have anything to do with that church. So I really distanced myself from that church. But actually getting out of that church only happened 10 years later. Okay. When I was earning good money and thinking like, I don't want to pay these people, and all this other stuff of little kids being taken advantage of and stuff came through back then. And I went like, I don't want to have anything to do with that shit. And went out, left church, and I never looked back. And that was it for me in the Catholic Church. Funnily enough, I live right next to our big fat Catholic church here in my village. I still love the church bells. I love it. It's nice. It's comforting. It's really nice.
Hey, we'll get to your church story in a minute. I want that at the end. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful story. But so we ended up raising our kids all the way through, finished primary school, all the way through high school. We shared all the mummy stories of the trials and tribulations of heartbroken children and kids breaking up and, all the different things. Should we let them go to the party? Should they have a sleepover? I remember us chatting about that, and because we're navigating teenagehood for the first time together, weren't we?
Yeah.
It was a powerful time. And I watched you having what seemed to me to be a really loving and great relationship with your partner, and that seemed to be stable and fantastic. But you never, that expression, you never know what's going on behind closed doors.
That's why the doors are closed,
I hadn't realized that you that relationship had sort of run its course, and it was it wasn't working for you. Meanwhile, I remember hearing stories about your mum. She's aging. She's in Germany. You had this constant hankering to return to Germany, Steph. I mean, the many trips that you'd take the families back to Germany for Christmas and be there with your family. Yeah. But I mean, that desire for you to actually return to your roots was so strong. I mean, it was a constant, wasn't it?
It was a constant. Because the first idea was only to stay in Australia for 5 years, and that was my my first husband saying, 5 years, and I thought 5 years is great because he has Dutch roots. Yeah, it was planned to go back to Germany, or at least Holland. Holland is fine. I mean, that's up the road 30 minutes, so it doesn't really matter. And that never eventuated. So it was very hard. I was homesick. Yeah, I was really very homesick. Even that journey that I did then with you at J&J, I did Pilates course, and then did Pilates classes, and then did Reformer Pilates, and then worked elsewhere as well, teaching Reformer classes, which I 100% enjoyed. I did love my life there and all the people there, but like you said, I was just always, I don't know, this constant feeling I need to go back home. I felt at times really, it was just homesick in the very meaning of the word, and
the pull of your mum, Steph, because you're an only child, aren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so
and that as well. Yeah.
So the desire to go and be home. So can you share that part of the story? I mean, you just all of a sudden it seemed like Steph was packing up and going home.
Well, 2019, I went home. The story with my partner then was that he came from the Hunter Valley and always wanted me to come to Scone or to the Hunter Valley with him. And look, it's really not. It was nice to go for the weekend and and be there and have the fresh air and whatnot. Stinking hot in summer, icy cold in winter. But I never really bonded with the area very well, nor with the people. I'm not a city person as such, but that was just too far away from everything. And I just felt like I'm not following another man ever again. Well,
famous words.
So 2019, my daughter was over in Germany at school, like my son was 3 years before, because the German roots and stuff, and they love doing that. Christmas 2019, went to Germany and wanted to actually make the plans to actually go there, move over there. My son had a contract with Lufthansa already for August 2020. My daughter didn't even want to leave. So I thought, wow, it all is wonderful. We looked at a house here close by, and we kind of went like, okay, that's gonna happen. This is gonna happen. This is good. This is gonna happen. Well, we all know what happened 2020. So Corona hit and Australia was shut. So no one in, no one out.
Yeah.
And that was the end to that dream. So couldn't really get there. In the meantime, the Lufthansa contract was changed the location from Düsseldorf, which is really like across the river here. They changed the location to Hamburg, and which would have been really difficult for my son, being on his own, completely on his own, without the help of my mum back then. The other thing was that I already saw 2019 a bit of a decline in her health. Not too bad. She was still, fighting on, but yeah. So skip 2 years. So 2019, and then I got back in 2022 in May. So came back to Australia, did all the Corona thing, the Zoom classes, that time at home was really tough. I mean, it was tough on a lot of families, I suppose, with Corona, everyone locked up in the house, my daughter being sporty and, not being able to train. She needs that vent. She needs that outlet. It was horrible at home. And then a completely different attitude to Corona from my side, from a health point of view. From my partner's point of view, he just literally didn't give a shit, right? He didn't want to get vaccinated. He just was like, no, I'm just going to go to Scone and live there, and no one. It was all just a big fuckery. Seriously, it was just awful.
And was that the undoing of that relationship, your personal relationship then, do you think, during that?
Yeah.
The stats were incredibly high during that period of relationships ending, actually. And
it was the beginning of the ending, yeah, it was. Yeah. And it was really challenging for him financially because he couldn't go to any events because he was into horses, and couldn't go to any events, run his own business. It was just, it was really challenging. And then being all stuck in the house, and my daughter was really, HSC at home and all that. It was a horrible time. It was seriously horrible.
Yeah.
Very challenging. I kind of got that creeping up fear. I'll never be able to get home. I never get out of here anymore, ever. You get that really unrealistic thing in your head where you think like, oh my God, I'm going to be stuck here forever. I'm never going to be able to leave. My mother's going to die and I will never see her again. So in short, that was my thought.
Quite
anxious. And it was horrible. And then with Corona and the end of J&J, all kind of in that time, it was a lot to process. And I remember I told you I decided to go back into the corporate world and go back to my original job in sales.
Yes.
Got a job fairly quickly. Worked still in Macquarie Park, which was good. You again wrote a letter of recommendation, which was very good. Thank you. Stayed in the health side of things.
Yeah.
Still am, funnily enough, and in a completely different capacity. But anyway, it doesn't matter. I can sell.
Cardiac rhythm management.
Yep. Now it's cardiac rhythm management, and in Australia it was clinical research. So I was working in supply chain. So it didn't have to do with the clinical research, like researching, cancer drugs, but I was just responsible for, the drugs to be transported, all just the whole supply chain business. So it was actually fun. It was good. I enjoyed it, but the onboarding completely remote at home, it was a nightmare. I had issues, IT issues, hardware issues, software issues over issues. my daughter at home freaking out, my son at home flipping out, me at home flipping out. It was volatile. It was just an explosive mixture.
Yeah.
2022, I decided, well, we can travel again. Great, I'm going to see Mum.
Yeah.
So surprised her for Mother's Day. She didn't know, only her best friend knew. She picked me up from the airport, and and in 2 years I saw or 2.5 years, I saw a really big difference in her health. Like, she couldn't go downstairs into the basement anymore, because, you know, we have basements where we have all the laundries and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just literally, I saw her slip one day, and I thought one day she's just going to lay there on the concrete floor, not being able to move. Yeah. It was heartbreaking. She was battling on. I know she was in a lot of pain, back issues, knee issues, and it was just horrible to see. I broke my heart, honestly, broke my heart. It was horrible. Just thinking about that, I still start crying.
Yeah.
Coffee on.
Watching your mum decline in her health.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've got the tumultuous undertakings of home life, which obviously weren't happy back in Australia. You would have been quite susceptible to what happened next, I would think.
100%. And I look, still to this day, I'm thinking it was, a lot of that was in my head. I kind of dug myself into a situation, into this, oh my God, I got to get out of here. I have to go home. It was all this, you know, this, and we remember that I always had this feeling, I had this
choking around your neck.
Choking around my neck, and I went like to any kind of doctor to find out what's wrong with me. Yeah. Well, it was all psychosomatic, right? It was all like, it was an issue. It was in my head.
Steph.
Is it psychosomatic?
Anxiety, they call it.
Yeah, okay. I got it.
Yeah. Say it. Say the word, Steph.
Anxiety.
This is I so wanted you to come on and talk about this, because we had so many conversations in the gym about anxiety, and so many of our colleagues suffered depression and anxiety, didn't they?
Yeah.
And you watched my own mental health journey through post-heart stuff and my own anxiety that came on, and then the medication, and you heard me talking about it all the time. And I remember you being quite respectful about anxiety, but not really wanting a bar of it. Actually thought it was quite bullshit.
100%.
Can you share about that?
I signed that now.
You did, didn't you?
Because, you know, my grandmother killed herself. She had depression. I found her. I think that never kind of really left me. The things that she, well, the things that she left behind, like a diary thing where, you know, she was like, it was horrible. It was just horrible. And I did understand, I mean, I was 19. I did understand that it was an illness. And I felt that during the time in Australia, a lot of people came forward always talking about celebrities, let me put it that way, celebrities being bullied, but, you know, that made me so strong, that's why I'm here now. And it came across as if, you know, you needed to have depression, you needed to be anxious, you needed to have been bullied in order to be grand and to be, you know, to be what you are, and to
have a story.
There is something behind it, you know, it makes you strong, it makes that person. And I just thought, it's really like, my God, at that point I already thought it takes really away from the people who are really suffering, because I had acknowledged at that point there are people out there who are suffering.
Yeah.
So, but it didn't kind of come together in my head yet. It was like, yeah. I start to understand. I wouldn't say bullshit, but I thought, just get over it. You know, when I have a shit day, just pull yourself out of it and see the bright things, you know, see the clouds in the sky and the blue sky, and think positive and all that. But then you are the most positive person that I know. And I'm thinking, why can't you do that?
Yeah, because I was anxious and depressed.
Yes.
I nearly
Yes.
died. Yeah, that's
Yes.
right. But so, Steph, thank you for sharing that. I love the vulnerability, and when you shared that with me on your last visit, I was quite blown away because I remember feeling like you didn't really get it. You didn't
No, I
really.
didn't get
I
it.
really wanted you to get it because you were one of my dearest mates, but I felt like you never really got that part of me. And when you said to me when we were having coffee, you said to me, Ness, I really get it.
Mm.
I hit the skids. Do you want to share about that part of your story and what led you to, would you call it a depressive phase, Steph?
Oh, man,
And
it was, oh, yeah. I have been in places I never want to go back to.
yeah,
Sorry.
no,
It's
don't.
it's real, and it instantly it comes over me and go like, oh, here we go again. Sorry, I just need a tissue.
Yeah, no, sorry, Steph.
No, it's all right. It's okay. It's good. It's all good. It's good to talk about it, and I've talked about it, and it's good. It's healing. It's all right. But that anxiety bit, that thing around my neck, as soon as the first day I came out of the plane in May in Germany last year, it was gone. There was nothing left. It was gone. I could breathe. I could feel like, oh my God, this is gone. All that heaviness on the chest was gone, and I'm thinking, my God, I can breathe. I never had issues breathing, right? As such, I never had the problem like, oh my God, I can't get air like an asthmatic. It was just the heaviness on my chest and that chain around my neck. It was just horrible.
Yeah.
So through Facebook, you stay in touch with people. Stayed in touch with a lot of people over here in my hometown, and also had 2017 at a village celebration, ran into an old schoolmate of mine, and he was with his wife there, and said hello, and long time no see, blah blah, chat, all good. And we kind of loosely stayed in touch, as you do as mates, nothing more, just mates. And it was when I came, before I came to Germany in May, it was a Facebook post of his, and he had grown like a long beard, and I said, you look like Santa Claus, haha, like what you do. And I then said, hey, I'm going to come home for 3 weeks in May, and I'm so excited, just I'm so excited, I'm coming home after Corona, yay, And so he messaged me, so, oh yeah, that's fantastic, that's good, you're going to see your mom, and I've seen her, and she has problems walking or something, he said, and I'm going like, oh yeah, she does. And he said, oh, why don't we catch up for a coffee? And I'm going like, yeah, why not? So it didn't end up being a coffee. It was at a pub, local pub. It was for a glass of wine in the evening because I just couldn't make it. And we had such a fantastic time. He made me laugh. I thought like, oh my God, no one ever has made me laugh like that. Mm. I was in stitches most of the time. He's the funniest guy. And we kind of, we talked and talked and talked, and then we caught up again and we talked again. And then he said, hey, do you want me to, I'm going to pick you up and we're going to ride a Harley. And I'm going like, no, I'm not a motorbike person. I don't like it. And he goes like, yeah, come on, we do it. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. And it was the most beautiful day. He just drove me through, the mountains here at the back of Düsseldorf. We did a beautiful tour of castles and parks and winding country roads. And it was just, oh my God, it was so, I can't even find the word. It was just mind-blowing, And he was so caring and so careful and so lovely and so nice, and so like I felt like walking on clouds. I'm going like, holy shit, you know, it was so, I felt so good,
Yeah.
you know,
Steph.
I just felt, wow, someone actually hears me, you know. He actually had a big deal of understanding, went through some shit himself, was actually split up with his wife 6 months prior. So she had moved out, they're going to get divorced. And yeah, so we kind of shared our journey a little bit and got to a real good understanding of each other. And I felt so happy here, you know. I just really felt everything is just lifted off me. I felt free and yeah, okay, it's a holiday. Everyone goes like, yeah, come on, it's a holiday. You know, of course you feel good in a holiday. Everyone does. But it was different this time. And I kind of, it was like a flash. I fell in love with him. It was just like, oh my God.
Wow.
He's the guy. He is it. Wow. He has all the values, everything. And you know what? When you are with a person like that, and you then, after this is all finished, and then you talk about it, you feel so stupid. Wow. Because it's so, you feel.
Is that how you feel now?
Oh, I feel completely stupid because I feel like I've been so blindsided. Like it was like, how was I so shallow to fall for that bullshit?
Yeah.
Right? That's the thing that really gets me, because I am the most realistic person and I am standing in life with my 2 feet firmly on the ground, right? And think like, well, you know, everything is just dumb bullshit.
And you bullshit. I remember many a conversation in the gym, Steph, before all of this happened, where you would have been very judgy of some other woman that had fallen into a situation or fallen prey to somebody like this. And you would have given them a speech, wouldn't you?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah. Like, oh my God, you know, how can that happen to you? How can you be so, like, where's your brain? Like, do you, like, I mean, I'm a, you know, I am a gut, heart, brain person. So sometimes the brain just doesn't quite get it. Also, judging by what I have said to people prior, thinking that now I find very embarrassing, because I'm thinking like, oh my God, you know, how shallow is that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Talking about something you have never experienced and actually judging it, that's even worse, you know? So it was kind of, I sometimes think, you know, I look up, I have this beautiful spot here at my desk, you know, I'm looking out to the sky and I sometimes go like, yeah, well done, God. And it's so, and you taught me to talk to him. You taught me to be the weird woman that talks on a walk with God and has speeches with him. And I do that all the time. And I sit here and go like, yeah, thanks. Well done. Okay, put my nose in it again, just like a little puppy dog, you know, that you put the nose into the wee and say he does this. Yeah. Yeah. And I just sit here and go,
Ben,
okay.
It's quite a journey, but I'm not finished with him, because you're at the love story part, but it didn't. The whole Cinderella thing happened, but it ended.
Cinderella. That's it.
What did you call it?
Cinderella.
Cinderella. That's it. So,
okay.
Cinderella. Tell us about that, Steph. How did that happen?
Well, so I spoke to him about that, you know, I'm so homesick and I wanted, and he said, yeah, I remember that when we met up on the Schützenfest. It's like a village celebration. It's very difficult to pronounce for anyone who's not German, but anyway, it's a big village celebration. But yeah, I remember talking about that, and I followed your journey on Facebook, and I always thought everything is wonderful. I said, yeah, Facebook is only for rose-colored glasses and everything is wonderful. And so he said, I said to him, I need to come back home. I feel I need to come home. I want to come home. The kids could not leave anymore because through Corona, they had just started their path. My son has declined the contract with Lufthansa, Corona. And so he did plan B and became a pilot. So he was in the process of getting all these licenses. My daughter had done her HSC, started occupational therapy studies. It was just they were back in their tribe and in their stuff, and Mum was just somewhere else with her head. And came home, spoke to him about all that, and he said, look, why don't you start to make a plan? How do you want to do it? How do you want to come back? Do you really want to come back? Go back home, see how you feel there. Do you want to maybe just stay there and come back all the time? Do you want to split up with your partner? What do you want to do? Just try and make a plan. And even when I was still here, because I was here for 3 weeks, I thought like, well, what do I want to do? I need to be with Mum. I knew that because in those weeks it became very clear she needs at least 3 surgeries and she's on her own. She does have a boyfriend, but he's in Holland and he comes like for 2 weeks and then he leaves for 4. And he's 81. I mean, he's no big help. And nice guy, but and so it was stuck in my head. I had to come home. I had to come home no matter what. Now, the situation here with housing is just as bad as in Australia. It's just horrible. You know, you can't get anywhere to live. It's very expensive. There's lots of asylum seekers here, a lot of refugees here, and they get priority. So Michael said, he said to me, now it's getting to that part and you can feel it. I'm getting a little bit, it's getting a little bit rough.
Yeah, I know. You're having trouble talking about it, aren't you?
I have trouble. Yeah, it's quite weird. So he said to me, look, my house is big enough. Why don't you come here first? Then you have a place to live. We can see maybe our relationship is going to work out. Maybe not. It's fine. If it's not, we're both old, right? Yeah, but you have a roof over your head, because I cannot live with my mother. It's impossible, because then we would have solved that situation fairly quickly, because one of us would have died. You would have read in the news about it. So I would have been in Germany, or probably in jail. So no good. And and he lives like 300 meters away from my mum. And Mum found him very nice.
Moved in with him straight away.
I moved in with him. Yeah, we thought like, well, fuck it, let's try it. We're old, we're crazy. Why not? What can happen?
Yeah. And how did it go, Steph? What was it like at first?
Well, the thing was that I started to look, when I came back to Australia, I just could not handle anything. I came out of the aeroplane and still, again, it's like I had this clamp around my neck again. I'm going like, oh my God. At home, it just felt like an absolute nightmare. I just didn't want to be there. I just wanted to go back, and I started to look for work and had 2 interviews and got the job. So I'm kind of lucky with that. Yeah. So they wanted me to start on the 1st of September. So mind you,
write you a reference for that one.
You did you? No. No. Okay. No, I did that all by myself. Yay. Yay me. And got that job for 1st of September. So now I had a date.
Yeah.
And I literally, and that is another heartbreaking story. I packed everything up, finished up with my partner then. He was heartbroken. He was just, it hit him like terribly, even though I always talked about the issues that I had. It was never, you know how people, you can talk to them and their words just don't get there, and there are other people that you don't need to talk. They understand you without any words, right? But I just thought I could have talked to the wall. He just didn't get it. He just had his business, his focus, what he wanted to do and where he wanted to be, and I had to come with him. That was it. And I was like, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
But he was shell-shocked. Mind you, he has, comforted himself. He's got a new woman already, so it's not that, must have not been that bad.
Glad he's moved on. That's a good story.
Moved on, that's right. So anyway, cut that story short, packed my bags, went to Germany, moved in. At first, it was really good. It was fantastic. It was like the first couple of months were like, it was heaven on earth.
Like
it was heaven
on steroids.
Oh, completely. everything, completely over the top,
Yeah.
showering with gifts, like
Wow.
declaring his undying love like at least 3 times a day. Like everything was just like a fairy tale. And I never had a fairy tale.
Yeah, wow.
And I fell for that fairy tale. So he managed to really mess up the relationship with my daughter, because unbeknownst to me, he sent her a letter, which was for my daughter an absolute shock. And my daughter then went around and showed the letter from him to everyone, and then in reverse blaming me for being in touch with him, letting it come to that point. And that was the first red flag.
Yeah.
Where I thought, and where I said, you should not have done that. You know, oh yeah, but I felt so sorry for you. It was because of something I did. He did it because I told him how I feel at home now. It's really difficult, and my daughter was really kind of really angry with me that I would leave.
Yeah,
and yes, and he tapped into it and sent her a message on Facebook Messenger, like a letter, like, and she just lost her shit. Absolutely, rightfully so.
Good girl.
And having said that, my daughter had already lived at her dad's for the previous year, because we did have some issues before. So that just put fuels to the fire. It was just because in that Corona time, it was really difficult. It was really difficult between the two of them, my son and my daughter as well. And I thought it would be best to just pull them apart for a bit, never thinking that she would stay. That was the other thing that was so hard for me. She wasn't there. She stayed at her dad's, right? Yeah. My son stayed with me and she stayed with her dad. And that was another heartbreaking part for me. I was just broken. Okay, yeah. I was just broken. I was completely broken. Come to a guy, he just picked me up on his 2 hands. You know, it was just like I said, like the fairy tale. First red flag.
Except that he endeavored to, his plan was to break you.
Yes. So, unbeknownst to me, I have never heard about a narcissist in my life.
There it is.
I never heard about, I don't even think I knew the word, understanding the word. So when I'm now looking back at it, and like I said, when you talk to someone else about what had occurred, you feel like, oh my God, was it really that bad? Yes, it was. Everything out of the textbook, fast tracking the relationship, point 1, he did.
Yep.
Right? So the red flags for me were one after the other. So at the beginning, the first 8 weeks were brilliant, really good. So I was there from like beginning of September. It started before Christmas. So not long, right? Red flags. The letter to my daughter, the fast tracking of the relationship. And I thought like, wow, this is going on. He was talking marriage. And I'm going like, what? I'm not going to marry anymore. Please. Like, no.
Yeah.
Everyone around him, so his ex-wife, crazy ex, bitter ex, nothing was his fault. Then I always felt like, wow, he needs a lot of attention. Like everything had to evolve around him. Everyone was out to get him at work. Everyone was like, oh my God, everything was out to get him, everyone at work. Took no responsibility for anything.
And
was never.
Did he say that everybody was jealous of him because he was so
great? Yeah. Oh yeah. It was also like, you know, everyone's out to get me because, you know, I have a great life and I've got 2 cars and 2 motorbikes and this and a house and a garden and, you know, my dog, my house, my boat, my garden, you know. And remember that ad?
Yes.
That.
Yeah. Wow. You know, when when we talk about narcissistic personality disorder, disclaimer here, neither of us is a psychologist, neither of us have even done a counselling course. But when you actually, but what we can do is we can Google stuff, can't we? So when I had a Google and I looked at the American Journal of Psychiatry, and I pulled up the description and criteria for narcissistic personality disorder. And when I flicked it to you, you emailed me back going, oh my goodness, I thought this was written about him. Didn't you? That's what you said.
Yeah,
so
100%.
They are characterized by overt grandiosity, attention-seeking, entitlement, arrogance, and a little observable anxiety, they say. They can be socially charming, so everybody loves them, despite being oblivious to the needs of anybody around them. And they are interpersonally exploitive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Taking advantage of others to achieve their own goals. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And that whole, I remember you saying to me, Steph, he would, this cycle of blaming that he did with you, blaming and pushing you away, and then love bombing you and calling you back in, and that cycle of drama triangle that went on.
Like trauma bonding to next level, honestly. It was, and always making me feel it was my fault.
Yeah.
Because everything that he did only as a reaction to my action. Yeah. So where it is like, you know, I said something, and only because I said that and hurt him, apparently, he reacted to me like that. Yeah. You know, I remember just before Christmas, that was one thing. He had, the thing is, he has this like this thinking he is something and someone's, this grandiose attitude, right? So he had this thing where he was literally greeting everyone, you know, like people go past, he goes, hi, you know, and hello, and out of the car and blinking, you know, flashing the lights. And in a restaurant, you know, I'm talking to him, and that was that night. We're sitting in a restaurant, I'm talking to him here in our village, talking to him, and someone came in the door, and he turns around, oh, hi, how are you going? And I'm sitting there going, oh, I was talking to you. Yeah. You know, don't interrupt me. And
like he's super important. Like
yeah. Oh yeah.
Making himself be super important.
Yes, and I kind of, you know, we were almost finished, and when we were leaving the restaurant, I said, why do you always have to greet everyone? I said, have you ever noticed actually that hardly anyone greets you back? You know, it was just actually, it was out of interest, you know. and he goes, and he lost his shit and went to him. You weren't here for 20 years. It's not my problem that you don't know anyone anymore. And I know people, and I'm doing the right thing. I'm being polite, and I'm saying hello, and I don't give a shit what the other people are in the restaurant. And I just thought, oh, shit, what? He stormed out, slammed the door, and I'm standing there going, oh, okay.
I think psychs call that a narcissistic rage.
Oh.
When they lose their shit, because you've actually called him out on behaviour.
Yeah.
And pointed out some behaviour that is not good. And they don't cope. They don't cope. No. So then they go about annihilating their partner or the person.
Oh my God. And still no idea. Narcissist. What even is that? So he stormed us. So I'm walking home behind him, you know, and, you know, I'm not letting you belittle me in front of other people. Who do you think you are? And all that. And I'm going, okay. I said, you know what? You go home, I go for a walk, cool off. And so that was the first time I thought, something not quite right here. And came back from my walk, him sitting on the lounge. I'm so sorry, and I should have never lost it like that. And so you just, I was embarrassed, and it will not happen again. And I'm so sorry, starting to cry. And then this pulling me towards him, and this kind of, trying to take me up in his arms, but just a little bit too tight, just to the point where I go, let go of me, please. He was never violent. I have to say that. He was never violent to me, but very forceful. I was never used to that kind of stuff. Never experienced anything like that. Just took me, and forced kisses on me, and I'm just going like, leave it. It's okay. I need a moment. Just let it go. And so that was the first red flag, well, amongst others. And the constant talking about that no one seems to appreciate him. It was talking bad about people behind their back. He would be smiling and nice, and then he would say, well, what an asshole. I mean, you do that sometimes, but it was just like, oh my God, have you got anything good to say about anyone? Yeah. And anytime I questioned him, he would lose it. But then I would get flowers and presents and this and that, and he had an exceptional taste. He always dressed
impeccably
to the hill, really nice, super polite to everyone, can hold a conversation like, oh my God, you think like, wow, 100% charming.
Prince fucking charming.
Yeah, to Cinderella. Told you.
So Cinderella, you pulled the pin on that shitstorm.
Well, no, not quite, because I thought like, this time the relationship is going to work, and I'm sticking it out, and I've had enough failed relationship. I'm not good with relationships. I just want to have the happy ending, the Cinderella life, Everything is going to, and he constantly told me how wonderful everything is going to be, and that we're going to get the kids together and just take some time. And the plans were brilliant, really. The other thing that really got me, every time we were on a road, he was a road Nazi. Like aggressive on the road.
Road rage.
Steph. Road rage to the point of almost like, I thought he's going to kill that guy.
Really?
A bicycle rider. Yeah. We were on the way to, and we did so many things, we were out excursions. We traveled here, there, and everywhere, and it was beautiful. So we went to an opera in Duisburg. On the way, I think he almost killed a bicycle rider. And because apparently he was on the road, and he shouldn't be on the road, and someone has to teach them, and he swerved towards them and almost took him off his bike. If I wouldn't have been in the middle of nowhere, I would have taken my handbag and leave and walk home if I had to.
Yeah.
It was frightening. He stopped. The bicycle rider scrambled up and stopped, and they had a big go at each other. The bicycle rider yelled at me to call the police. He yelled at me to call the police. I just sat there going, oh my God, it was just disastrous.
Wow.
Always had to tippy-toe around him. Never knew what mood he was in. He drank a lot of beer. Like, he came home, he started work early and came home early. So he was like home at like 3:30, started to drink beer, had like 6 bottles of beer a night. And I just kind of, that's not, And the answer was, well, you drink wine. With my phone. He did the phone plan because he works at Mercedes, so there are perks, And so he did the phone, and, you have to work. I set it up. It's fine. Me being so stupid. He tracked me, all these little things that kind of came out later. Wanted to go out with my girlfriends as well, and he always wanted to come along. Yeah. And I was like, no, I want to spend time with my friends, but, I want to come along. I want to spend time with you. I love you so much. This constant being with me. And I think like, look, I can't have that. I just need to get out with my friends. You told me you have millions of friends. Where are they?
Yeah.
Well, he doesn't have any.
Yeah. So interesting.
It was, Yeah. And the manipulation, the blame shifting, you're too sensitive, you need help, you know, like always hard done by. And it got to the point where I think, like, man, you are so negative, you know. When we rode a bike, I said, oh, wow, that's so nice. The weather is just beautiful. Yeah, it's going to rain later. So it's always this dragging down, and it was just, oh, my God, it was horrible. And, you know, I wasn't the shy little mouse letting it all happen. At some point, I hit back. And I went like, Jesus, man, just pull yourself together, you know. The world doesn't evolve around you. So just you know, oh, my God. It was just.
You don't speak like you didn't get the memo on not speaking to a narcissist that way, Steph, clearly.
No, I still didn't know. And it was like, you know, we fought. Like, I have never fought with anyone before. I've never gone to that level. You know, I always had, even when you have disagreements, you have a respectful discussion about things, right? That was just like, oh my God, that was low.
Yeah.
Off the charts.
So it unraveled, and I remember you telling me he kicked you out, and you and then tried to suck you back in, but you said, fuck off, I'm done.
Yeah.
And you just threw the long stand, right? So
that's when I started to see
at some point that this drama, this repetitive bullshit fuckery drama of this drama triangle, narcissistic behavior, whatever you want to call it, was just not for you any longer. And it was time to move on.
I had several people I mean, I grew up here where I live now. I grew up here. People know me. I've got a lot of well-meaning people around me. However, I got very cautious of well-meaning people. Yeah. I was told by at least 3 people, Steph, he's no good, get out. Yeah. And I'm going like, what? I said to one particular friend, I said, you don't know him the way, how dare you? You don't even know him the way I know him. You know, I defended him, you know, and said, look, you know, you don't know him the way I know him. And he goes like, well, I get it. Just remember my words. And that was not just one person. Village celebration. So there was another village celebration. Like, we always have some sort of celebrations. Mum went to Holland to her friend. Mum asked me to house sit for the cat, the garden, the house. I have to rewind a little bit. I said that I want to go to Australia to see my kids, and I hadn't, you know, holidays. I said I want to go September, October, and he wanted to come with me. And I said, no, I don't think it's a good idea. I would like to go on my own. He was not happy about that. And I said, well, I'm still going to go whether you're happy about it or not. I need to do this on my own. I need to be with my kids, and I need to, well, of course, I'm not going to hang around when you meet your kids. And I said, no, I don't want it. I'm going to go on my own. I want to go there by myself. This is my home as well. And I want to be there on my own. Maybe later down the track, but not now. In that meantime, coming back to that part of depression and, you know, having kind of lost a little bit contact with my kids, I thought it was all going to be easy when you have Messenger, you have WhatsApp, FaceTime call, video call, whatnot. I mean, those 2 kids work like 60 hours a week. They have literally no time. But I was so thinking it positively out in my head that, oh, you know, I can talk to them, I can video call them, it's all going to be wonderful. They're grown-ups. They're not interested. They have their boyfriend, girlfriend. That's what they're interested in. They don't even speak to their auntie that lives around the corner, right? So hardly even to their dad, as I have heard.
So, Steph, don't be too offended. I live at home with my daughter, and to organise just to have a dinner with her is really, really hard. So, you know, it's the age, they're just flying.
Yeah. And I've always said I give them roots and wings. And I think, yes, that's why I come to understand it. Oh, what does it actually mean, Steph? Oh, yeah. Anyway, that's when I fell into that, and that was around February, March. I hit my absolutely lowest point in my life. I was curled up in bed, crying, couldn't stop crying, hadn't slept, couldn't sleep. I was like a walking dead, you know. I literally, the first time in my life, I had the thought, well, if I would just disappear, no one would really give a fuck. And then having that thought that I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be there. I just don't want to be. I don't. I hit the spot where I thought I have no solution anymore. No one loves me. No one. The guy loves me, but in a way that I'm thinking like he's a little bit cray-cray. But I hit that spot, and it was really, really difficult to get out of that. The anxiety came back.
Yes.
I tried to function during the day, and as soon as work was off, I collapsed in a heap, and I just went upstairs, went to bed and cried.
Yeah.
Tried to watch TV, couldn't concentrate on anything. I held it up for work. It was okay, and I just hit that low point where I just thought like, well, how am I going to best do it?
Yeah. Did you reach out and get help with the doctors?
I did later, yes. Not at that point. I tried to get in with a psychologist, but you have no way to get an appointment here. It just doesn't work. You're just not getting anything. It's horrible. You're not getting any appointments. You're waiting lists, and people are just struggling. Everyone is struggling with the pressures, with everything, with the environment, with the wars, with the taxes, with Germany, with everyone is struggling, with family, and you just can't get in. You cannot get into a psychologist. I had like we have at work, we have one of those things, and I reached out to them and I had a chat with a psychologist. She was way too young. She was way too young to understand. I could talk to her, but she was too young. She didn't get it. And we only had like 45 minutes, and it was like, no, I just can't. It was so. As you know, it comes and goes. So eventually I got out of it. I got myself some sleeping tablets so I could at least sleep at night, which helped.
Excellent. Yep. And you severed the relationship with him?
Well, yes. I said, look, it's too difficult. And I told him I want to get my own place. I cannot live with you under the same roof. And he was naturally lost his shit as usual. And then again, the same thing happened, you know. I sat crying on the lounge going like, oh my God, I know, I understand, and la, la, la. The whole thing. It was always the same process, right? Always the same process. And then the time came that Mum was going on holidays. I house sat her house. And he decided that he is going on holidays. He didn't tell me. He just decided that he's going to go with his son. After I told him, look, why don't you go with your son on a holiday? My God, you know, just go. He complained that I made the decision that I want to go to Australia on my own, that I made that without consulting him, because in a relationship you talk about these things. I said, well, we did. I told you I'm not going to go with you. I'm going on my own. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
He did the same payback, you know. Oh, I'm going to Spain with Lala, and so I'm going to, with his son, and, you know, I'm doing this. Oh, thanks for consulting me about it, you know. And he goes like, well, you know, you knew that I wanted to go. And I said, no, yeah, okay. So at some point I just went like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So the time came, Mum was on holiday, so I packed a few things, went on holidays, went to Mum's place, house sitting. He went on holidays. I said, look, this is a good time to just maybe take a breather. Just leave me alone. I leave you alone. You enjoy the time. I enjoy the time on my own. And while I was at Mum's place at that time, there was this village celebration. I went out with my girlfriend and I had a really good time, and she stayed over the night, and it was really, we cooked together and we went out together, and I kind of got my mojo back a little bit. Mind you, a lot of people that are in a narcissistic relationship, they stay in there a lot longer. They have trouble getting out of it. I think I still had like brain cells came back, and I went like, I need to get out. I need to get out. for my own safety, really, not because he was violent, because he wasn't.
But it's coercive control, isn't it?
Oh, the controlling, unbelievable.
Yeah.
When I found out that he was tracking me on my phone with the location, I was like, why did you do that? He deleted all of James' photos of my ex-partner's of Facebook. He deleted all of them. He went into my Facebook and deleted the photos. So crazy. When I found out, he went like, well, I had deleted all the photos of my ex-wife, so I expect the same from you. And you didn't.
Wow.
Like, hang on. It's part of my past. It had nothing to do with it, right? Anyway, while I was at Mum's, I kind of got my mojo back a little bit. And I was like, okay, this is good. I can do this.
Yeah.
Looking for a place.
Yeah, and you found a place, didn't you?
I found a place.
Can I ask, where was the intersection of God in this for you? When did you reach out to God? Because I remember you talking about it being a bit of a God incident where you got your place, it all worked out well, it was the perfect one, and it was just, and it ended up working so beautifully for you.
So I always went to church with Mum. She had converted to being a Catholic when she married my dad, and then when my grandfather was a Mennonite, died, she converted back to Mennonites. And insert what are Mennonites.
Mennonites, here we go. The Mennonites were originally a little closed community, but they were a part of the Reformation, and I believe a breakaway group from the Anabaptists, and I think they were even linked with the Lutherans at one point.
Yes.
So they're a major denomination in Germany today.
Yes.
And that's part of the church you're going to now, Steph.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've always gone there, and I do really like the priest there. The community spirit is really high. It's all about helping each other, being there for each other. It's like a different spirit to all what I've had experienced before. He always talks very loosely, always finds a way to some Bible story into reality. He goes, it is always a thing like, and I catch myself always, I sit there 45 minutes and I just listen. And it's just this, Mennonites are not, we don't have a big cross at the wall. We don't have it's not decorated massively. It's very simple. It has nothing to do with the Amish people, because a lot of people think it's Amish, but it's not. Very simple. It's more about the community spirit. And I helped out a lot at church as well, did a little bit of, volunteer work there and all that, and which I really enjoy. I really enjoy doing. And I spoke to him. My ex-partner came with me a couple of times to that church. He's Catholic, like everyone is here. His mother went absolutely ballistic. She went like, well, if you go there one more time, I'm going to write you out of my will.
Wow.
That kind of stuff. You go like, what? And the Mennonite church, very welcoming to anyone. Maybe Muslim, Baptist, Catholic, Protestant, whatever. Everyone is a guest. Everyone is welcome. So, and I just felt I felt comfortable there. I went actually to church because I felt so comfortable there. Yeah. And so the thing that really got me was, during the time I was living at Mum's, I was looking for a place. And the funny thing was, while he was on holidays and I was at Mum's, his mum looked after his house and I looked after Mum's house. He texted me continuously all the time how much he misses me. And I said, look, we decided on having a break. Just leave it a little bit, okay? Give me some breathing space. And so he sent a text to tell me, or the family chat, that he's going to extend the holidays and he's coming back a week later. I'm going, who f***ing way? I've got another week. Amazing. And so at that time it happened that I found two places. Funnily enough, you don't get a place here in the village I was just like so lucky. I went to church the Sunday before and I went like, my God, I need a place. I just want, I need to get out of there, or, you know, I just don't know what's going to happen. And I prayed for it. I went for walks a lot and I just talked to God, you know, like, Jesus, I need a place to live. Like crazy woman, you know?
No, mate. Sounds like your prayer was answered, Steph.
Oh, I felt I needed someone to talk to. I cannot talk to in any other way. Someone I can trust, someone who's not going to backstab me, someone who's not going to talk behind my back, someone who just goes to listen and maybe sends me some advice, right?
Oh, who would that person be, Steph?
Yeah, I know. And I'm thinking like, oh my God. And also, even before, when I was still in Australia, it was like everything was lined up. Everything fell into place. So, and I remember I told you, I believe he led me on the wrong path.
Who?
Because God, because I said to you, you know, everything was just falling into place. I had a place to live. I was looking after mum. I had a new job. Everything worked out. It was like domino effect.
Yes.
And now I have this fucked up relationship. So you led me on the wrong path. And you said, no. There's some deeper meaning behind it. You'll find out. And I'm on that path now to find out. So it was just crazy. Anyway, so he texted, he's going to come home later. I'm going like, yeah, wonderful. That's great. So the next thing I hear from him was, hey, I managed to buy a car in that time too. So everything, again, fell into place while he was away. I bought a car. His mum actually brought him to the airport to his holiday. So I'm jumping a little bit now. His mum got into the airport because he brought his car for service. And I said, well, I can't really drive you in that little convertible to people. There's no, you know, how are we going to get to the airport? Oh, yeah, can you just go and pick up, because I was at mum's place, my mother's car from her, like at 4 o'clock in the morning, right? And then pick us up and drive us to the airport. And I went, no. No. And he goes like, oh, well, I guess my mother can drive me. And I went like, yeah, okay, well, you know, and she did. But I had a day off. So I went like, well, I'm going to buy a car today. Bought a car. I found my car straight away. I found it. It was like, duh, it was there. And
after all along, Steph.
And so I'm sitting there. It's red. I love red cars, as you know. It's not a T-Roc like I wanted. It's only a Polo, because T-Rocs in Germany, a German car is more expensive in Germany than it was in Australia. Anyway, so it's a beautiful car. It's the same on the inside, so it's perfect. And it's small. I only use a small car. And so the first day the car was registered was the 11th of March, my birthday. I was like, perfect. So that was the previous owner, right? It's a used car. So they're like, oh my God, this is just like perfect. Bought the car, told him, hey, I bought a car, you know, and so Shannon Potter, oh, it's a Polo, it's a Volkswagen. Okay, well, a Volkswagen is not parking in my driveway. I don't want to be seen dead with that. And I go, what? And he goes like, no. I said, you know me, I don't like Volkswagen. So I said, okay, well then I guess I'll park somewhere else. And I thought, you fucking dickhead, what's that all about? But then before he came back, he sends a message to me saying, hey, do you think in your little car is space for 2 suitcases and 2 guys to pick them up from the airport?
Busy that.
And I just,
I'm busy that day, sorry.
That's what I said. I said, sorry, I signed my rental contract today. Tomorrow I'm busy.
Yeah.
And I said, I think your mother's car is much more appropriate vehicle for you. I just had the shits. I thought that it was just, you know, horrible. And I signed my rental contract on that day. So that was mid-July. And the next day, so I was at mum's. So he came home. I went after work. I went to say hello. And he said, you know what? you can pack your fucking bags and leave and stay to your mother. I don't want this shit anymore. Who do you think you are? Not even picking me up from the airport. You know, this is just like what, you know, no. Whole argument. And I said, look, you know, all of a sudden my car is good enough. And I said, and you know, in Germany, it's different. You can talk free with your phone, with your mobile phone, all Europe. It's fine. You don't have to pay extra anymore like it used to be. So he could have picked up the phone and called me and said, hey, can you pick us up from the airport? Would have been an idea, right? No, just a text message. And I went like, no, sorry. I signed my rental contract. And that, because I signed my rental contract, that was the reason he told me to move out. So he said, get your bags and you can live with your mother. And I thought, okay. So I packed my bags. He sat on the veranda the whole time like that, arms crossed, legs crossed, made me, you know, climb, you know, go downstairs and upstairs again. And all that didn't help me. I packed everything I could, agreed on leaving stuff that was down in the basement and stayed at Mum's. So I was done. I was seriously done. I was broken. I was everything you can imagine, and went back into that depressed state where I thought, like, you know what, whatever. It's everything is useless. You know, at work got very difficult. We have a couple of very difficult people in our team. It all got to me, to the point where I finally broke the camel's back. Yes. And I went to my doctor, and I just sat there, and I was a complete mess. I was a complete and utter mess. And he's like, I think he's my age. And I just sat there in his room, and I looked at him, and he looked at me, and he said, what's going on? And I just lost it. I just cried and cried and cried. And I said, and work and partner and boyfriend, this and that and mother. And that was it. It all came out. And he said, okay, so I'm just going to write you a sick note for the next 3 weeks. And you just calm the farm and just stay at home. And where are you now? Have you moved out? Yeah, I moved out with Mum and all that. And that was a good time. I really came to terms with, I can't do this anymore. Looking forward to my own place, which then is still another month away by that time. And it was healing time. Back in comes the guy and goes like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And you're the woman of my dreams, and I can't live without you. And I'm so sorry. And I know my mistakes. And I only lost my lolly because you said you're going to move out. And, you know, you have to come back, and I can't live without you. And I'm going to change, and I'll do this and that. And I said, okay, let's go out. Let's talk. Give him a chance. Because I was still thinking like, okay, give him a chance. Give him a chance.
But Steph,
I loved him.
Steph,
I know. And he's so nice, and he was just the most, like, I can't even begin to explain it. Oh, can we just, you know, I know you love riding the motorbike. Can we just go and ride the motorbike? My mum in the meantime is sitting there going, you know, are you fucking out of your mind?
Go, Mum. Yeah.
And I just go like, oh, you don't know. He said, and then Mum said to me, the narcissism bit dawned on me already. And then Mum said, you know what? Your father was a narcissist. So don't you fucking go back there. I've done that for 10 years. I've suffered. I've had my heart broken. I've had my head broken. I had my mind broken. If you go back there, you can move out here as well. And I'm going,
oh, Mum.
And I'm just going, don't worry, I'm moving 1st of September. I'm gone, right? Anyway, still called up with him, talked to him. He actually apologized to my mother, went to my mom and said, look, I'm an absolute dickhead, and I realize, and it's all my fault. And he wrapped her around his finger as well. My mother.
They charm the pants off people, apparently.
He was like, Mum went like, oh my God, I can see where you're coming from. And I'm going, yeah, see? And looking back at that now, I'm thinking, oh my God, how did that happen?
Yeah. Yeah.
So during the house, he said to me, look,
they're so compelling with their love bombing and their kind nature and all the words. They're the master of it, aren't they?
Oh, and flowers and this and that and attention, like the attention, like unbelievable, unbelievable. And until the next time, I guess, you know. So during the move, he said to me, look, I understand. The only chance we have is when we live not together. I get that now. I will help you move. And he just, you know, during I hired like a trucky thingy. And unbeknownst to me, he had, while I was at work, well, so back at work then, and kind of, you know, he had already started to load a lot of things that were at his place into the truck. And a lot of things naturally are missing now, you know. So, but of course, he only did that to help me. And now, you know, he couldn't find the things anymore. And that's another story anyway. So got all the stuff from Mum's, loaded it all in the car. And he helped me move into the place I am in now. He was great help. Have to say, I don't know, I couldn't have done it without him, to be honest. I would have had someone else probably, but you know, ask someone else.
Do you think Steph, do you think he's bugged? Do you think he's bugged the place?
No, he didn't do that. No. He withheld a lot of things that I then had to come back for. But that was not the intention originally, because I thought, okay, we can actually fix this when we're not living together. We can fix it. I still thought we can fix it. The next day, I went, like after the move, I did my knee, really painful, had an MRI, had to be there in Düsseldorf at like 6 a.m. That was the only appointment I had. And so I'm finishing up with a funny story, so, you know, to pick it up a little bit. So I had an MRI and was up at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Call him. So I had moved in, but there were still a few things at his basement that we agreed on that I pick up the next weekend when I have help. And so I call him and say, yeah, I had the MRI and blah, blah, blah. And he goes like, hey, listen, did you take the toilet paper with you? And I'm going, yeah, I took a packet of toilet paper with me because there were 2 downstairs. And he goes, I can't believe you took the toilet paper. And I'm going like, what? And I said, look, I got to go. And he thought I had hung up, but he spoke to his colleague saying, that fucking bitch even took the toilet paper. I wonder what else she took. So I was like, oh, okay. So I hung up, waited 5 minutes, called back, and I said, next time you talk like that about me, you better make sure that I've hung up. And he said, you can get your shit tonight and get it out. I don't want to see you anymore. I'm done with you. And I'm going, okay. So after work, he said, I want you to pick it up. I'm going to carry it up. I'm going to throw it out in the front yard and you can pick it up from there. So that's what he did. He threw all my stuff out at the front with my shit knee being up at 5 a.m. I had to do several car loads of stuff back to my place. Downstairs, upstairs, downstairs. My knee, I was in so much pain, you have no idea. All about toilet paper.
Yeah.
So that was it.
Yeah. What a charming man he turned out.
I asked my mum to come and help me. She can barely walk. She can't do anything really, but she had loads of cars. I asked my neighbor to help me, so they came and helped me as well. I was busy until about 2 o'clock in the morning to put it all away. about toilet paper. And to this day, I've blocked him off WhatsApp, Insta, Facebook, except on the phone because I couldn't work it out because the contract is in his hands. I paid for it, but it's in his hands. I finally figured out how to block him. Yesterday, I received the last message of everlasting love, apologies. He wants to marry me. He's divorced now. His head is free. He understands me, and I'm the biggest love of his life. Ta-da! And I am sitting here in my place like the princess on a pea, loving it. I love my place. I furnished it the way that I want it to be. It's my castle. It's my safe spot. It's my...
Yeah.
I'm good.
Can I thank you for sharing your story? It's quite it's a heavy story and it's a heavy load to bear, Steph. And I think there are plenty of people that will get great comfort in hearing your story. Can I ask you though now, we touched a little bit on your faith and how God has intersected your life during this time. What do you reckon? A couple of things. What have you learnt from this experience, and how do you think God has been involved in this?
Well, remember when I told you if everything works out, I'm going to go back to church. Remember that I said that to you?
Yeah.
And I did. I asked them to take me into the community, and they did. What did it do for me? So all the talks that I probably should have had with a psychologist, which I didn't get an appointment with, I had with God, I sometimes think. I felt I could, and it was I felt a little bit selfish at times because I thought like I'm only relying on you when I'm in deep shit somehow. And I felt really bad about that. I felt like, yeah, I didn't want to feel like using him. And then I'm thinking like, well, and I actually think that makes me feel I'm a little bit deeper connected than I actually would let myself believe. And I felt this every time I went there to church, and I still have that same feeling. I feel like, wow, I can always go there. The doors are always open. There's always someone here that will help me. It gave me faith in that everything was going to be okay one way or another, and that I've been on a journey, a very, very compressed, fast tracking journey, 2 years of hell, right? And that I can trust that he has my back.
And you know what, Steph? I think that there's plenty of characters in the Bible that have had really shit journeys, and they then come to know God in a very deep and tangible way because of the turmoil that they went through. And I wonder if that was a journey that you just had to go through so that you could become reliant and dependent on.
I think so. I would definitely say so. It was like there were like warning signs before. Remember, yeah. I remember having talks with you about this and saying it's a, you know, you have to talk. You can talk to him. Just talk to him. Just to let him know what bothers you. Don't forget to say thank you every now and then too. And then, you know, and I'm thinking like, yeah, I never had that connection. Now I just, you know, maybe people call it something else. Maybe they think they talk to themselves. Right. But I honestly think I'm talking, and I always, you know, I love doing it when I'm outside, when I'm out in the fields walking and I have the sky. I mean, I'm not walking around like that, right? But I can have that conversation. I can have it out loud. I can have it in my head, and it works. For me, it works. It just works, and I can't. You have explain.
You get connection, and
yeah.
God wants you to have that connection, and you're connecting in nature, and it's the way that God created nature. So you're in amongst all of creation, connecting with the one who is the ultimate creator, who wants desperately to have a relationship with you and to walk these tricky times with you, but also to celebrate in the powerfully happy times that you will continue to have. You will have a Cinderella moment again. Too pretty. You won't be on the shelf for long, sister.
Look, I don't want a relationship. I'm very happy on my own.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that I have very important people in my life that help me, that listen to me, in Australia and in Germany, that were part of my journey. They still look at me a little bit whack when I say, like, with church, because they don't see me as a person that goes to church.
Me either. Me either.
Yeah, I know, and you know, and I get that, and the Catholic Church is just so different, you know. It's just so heavy and so, and it's not me. I can't deal with it. I can't handle it. In that church, it's light, it's fluffy, can be deep and meaningful, but I feel so comfortable there. You know, I feel comfortable at that church, but I also feel comfortable outside the church, just having my own church within, you know. So and that was a part of the journey that was very important, and the steep learning curve with regards to people having depression, people having anxiety. A good friend of mine as well went through the same thing, a bit more difficult actually. Going through and acknowledging it's a thing, Steph. Don't put it like, oh my God, just get out of it, right? You can't. And that was another thing. It was like, hey, hold on, think, experience it, and then you can maybe talk.
I don't think there's any accident that you're working in cardiac rhythm management. I think your cardiac rhythm management has been challenged, and you've just learnt and grown along the way, and it's humbling, isn't it? It is. Humbling. And we all grow at different rates, and you've just had this massive growth curve, sister.
But in such a short amount of time, you know, and actually having a place here. Everyone's saying, how on earth did you get a unit in Lunk, where I am, right? How did you do that? I said, oh, well, charm with personality. I don't know.
Not your boobs, sister. It's not your boobs.
Definitely not my boobs, because the couple that own the place, they're like parents to me.
Oh,
literally. Wow. They're like, oh, you could be our daughter, and they love me. I love them. They're really nice, and it just worked. And it was like, I had 2 times where I didn't get the place. At the end, I had to decide between 2, but there was twice I didn't get the place that I wanted, and it was like, okay, so there's a reason for it. Something better will come up. Just trust. Just trust. Yes. Believe. And
absolutely, you are the perfect example. Your story is epitomizes filthy hope. In the filth of life, here we have hope, and it's a hope of a new start, Steph, and healing journey with your kids and your family, and thriving, surviving. And I just want to thank you from Jonty and myself for being with me here in my tonight and your the morning. And what we'll do is we'll pop down in the show notes that article that I was referring to on personality disorder. Jonty will into the show notes for people to have a listen. I'll have a read of if they're interested. But thank you, Steph. Thank you so much.
I hope I didn't overstay my welcome, because, you know, once I talk, I just don't stop.
Yeah, I said to Jonty, she's going to hold this one together for us, Jonty. She can talk this one.
It's one thing I want to say to finish it up for me personally. So this journey is a journey, and living here now where I come from is very soothing. It's still very good for me. Rebonding with my children as well, which is very good. However, thinking once my mum, she turns 80 in May. She will leave us one day, no matter how it is because of age. I will come back to Australia.
Yes. You've got all these friends here. We miss you, sister.
I know. At Christmas time, I got so many messages. It was just like, oh my God, it's like, yeah, it's part of the journey. For now, I'm here and I'm happy here. And I love that I had this opportunity to talk to you. It was great.
Amazing, Steph. It's going to be great. And thanks for being with us. Really appreciate it.
I loved it. Thank you.
This is a prayer for the people who want to give up, who have been hurt beyond repair and cannot bear to see your face in anything. Find peace in letting go of the guilt that isn't yours, and find hope in understanding. Life is not a game you have to win. Forgiveness overwhelming, salvation undeserving.